So how's it going, guys? This is Ryo Muratov, photographer based in Tokyo. A rather complicated topic that I really wanted to discuss on my channel is that clarification. My main camera is my GW690 Mark III. That's my main camera, 8 exposures per roll. And also my backup camera is my Mamiya 645 Pro, which is more like my testing camera, which I'm using, which when I use to test like random films, mostly like lomography related types of films, because it has more exposures. I can basically get the gist of what I would get if I shoot with that specific film stock. So long time ago, like 2-3 years ago, like near when I started my YouTube channel, I started shooting with Lomographys film stocks. I made a video on Lomography 800, 400, and 100, and especially the 800 and 400 video, because I was starting out, I kept getting fat rolls, and because I was starting out in medium format photography, I thought this was sort of like a beginner mistake, or more like, how should I say, because I did not have that expertise in that field, my winding skill wasn't that pristine in my opinion, so I thought it was sort of like a beginner mistake kind of. But recently, if you recall, 1 month ago when I visited CP Plus, which is a camera convention that happens in downtown Yokohama area, Kanagawa Prefecture, I was able to talk with the Lomographys representative of the Japanese division, and we had this deep conversation, and it basically brought up this like conversation because it kept on bugging me after like a couple of years or so, after looking at my photos and stuff like that, that Lomography's film stock it's easy to get fat rolls, and I wanted to clarify like why it kept happening. And two shocking facts were revealed during CP Plus when I was talking with a Japanese Lomography representative. One is Lomography's film stock is not, especially the color natives, is not dependent on Kodaks anymore. That's actually a shocker. And I was starting to feel this way and have this mentality that Lomography isn't sort of like a third-party manufacturer that kind of respools Kodak's like film, but he clarified that Lomography actually has their own facility that makes color negatives. And if you recall Lomography's like film stocks of the previous years, they made red scale, they made turquoise, they made purple, they made metropolis. Those are basically the founding blocks of making color negative films, and that's basically the foundation of why they were able to make 100, 400, and 800 Lomography series, which I'm going a little bit off topic, but because he clarified that Lomography is now making their own film stocks, and if you look at where it's being produced, it's made in China, most of them, the ones sold in Japan, and unlike Kodak's offering, which is like made in USA, Rochester, USA, I had that feeling to be true. And so that was number one. And number two is that because they're actually manufacturing their own film stocks, Lomography themselves, this means that the spool that they're using and the backing paper that they're using is not Kodak's for sure. And if you ever shot with Lomography's like film stock, you've probably seen or felt the complete difference between Kodak's offerings of medium format and the Lomography side, because Kodak's, I would classify it as thin and what you call like matte type of paper, the backing paper itself, while Lomography's like backing paper for medium format is more like thicker, glossier, and slippy in my opinion. And I thought that they were completely the opposite, but what I later found out after talking with the representative is that the slit of the medium format reel itself that Lomography uses is a tad wider compared to Kodak's offering. And this is actually the reason why a lot of people kept mentioning it on Reddit, on forums, they kept getting fat rolls when shooting with Lomography's film stocks. And honestly, there is a way around this, in my opinion, after doing a lot of like research and testing in my system, because like so many people who are new to like medium format photography, and also there are professionals who watch my video, it's kind of hard to like balance it out, but I had to give you guys the background information, sort of like the backside of the story, and also how it works, because there are a lot of people who are new to my channel who don't know much about medium format photography. So if you're used to like 35mm film, the principle is that you basically expose the first exposure on the first film, and for 35mm you basically keep going to the right side, or maybe the opposite side, and kind of keep stretching the film negatives out of the canister, and when you're finished shooting with 35mm, it goes, you wind it back into the canister. That's the 35mm basics. Medium format, on the other hand, is the other way around. You keep exposing the first frame, second frame, you keep pulling it, and basically winds to the right side, and when you're finished shooting, the left side becomes empty. There's basically one like reel that remains there, and the whole film negative or positive or reversal or slide film basically goes to the opposite side. So what I'm trying to say is that the film that's on the left side, because I use a rangefinder, has to be winded to the right side. And because it has to be winded to the right side, it has to be, you had to put some kind of tension to it, or else light leaks could happen. And this is the cause of sort of like fat rolls. I'll stick in a photo for you guys what a fat roll and what a typical roll should look like. But basically there's going to be space in between the what I call the paper that's being winded onto the reel. Thus, if there's that extra space, light could leak from the top and the bottom, or maybe from the side, and that could cause these types of images that I got back when I shot with Lomography 800 and 400, and that is what a fat roll is. And like I said in the beginning part of the video, a Lomography's film stock that comes with Lomography's, I guess, standard sort of like reel, and the Kodak's standard reel. The Kodak's reel itself should work 100% on every single camera, every single like medium format camera. However, the problem arises when you have the Kodak's reel on the right side, and when you have the Lomography reel on, or when you insert the Lomography film stocks on the left side when you're shooting with SLR or making the rangefinder type of camera, because like I said, the width of the paper of the Lomography side and the sort of like a slit of the Kodak side is smaller, meaning that when you pull the Lomography film across to the Kodak's reel, and basically for GW690 you have to stick the film slit into that slit of the Kodak side. It kind of jams, and because the Lomography side is a tad thicker, and it's kind of hard to explain because I don't have sort of like a film stock at my disposal. But when you pull medium format film, it has this sort of like triangle-ish kind of like slit that goes into the reel itself. Kodak's sizing wise, it looks like this, but Lomography's paper is a little bit wider. Thus, when you try to like pull it into that slit of the Kodak side, it kind of crinkles, it kind of jams in there, and it keeps sliding and slipping due to the characteristics of Lomography's film stock. And that is actually one of the reasons why a lot of people tend to get fat rolls when shooting with Lomography, and people keep accusing Lomography, it's Lomography's fault of not producing the correct like dimensions or the paper or the reel and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't know about that. But there is a way around this, which I've found out later, which is that I was talking with a representative that there's basically, I guess, one way is you have to not use the Kodak's reel on the right side, but it works perfectly fine if you use Fujifilm's reel. But we all know Fujifilm's color negatives division is completely shattered. They're gone. They don't make medium format film anymore. They're not a film company, unfortunately, Fujifilm themselves. So that's out of the question. And option number two, which I experienced and which I can vouch on, is that when you shoot with Lomography's film stock on the left side, remove the Kodak's spool on the right side and insert a Lomography's reel on the right side. That's basically the safest way to play this game, because the dimensions of that reel on the left side and also the reel on the right side are exactly the same company, so you will get no fat rolls. So that's basically the way around this fat roll issue. And honestly, even if you do that, and if you get a fat roll, in most cases it's going to be more like a compatibility issue, because like I said, I only use 2 to 3 like medium format camera, which is the GW690 Mark III and also the Mamiya 645 Pro. I only can have experience on those two types of camera, so I cannot vouch on Pentax 7 users, Mamiya 7 users, RZ67, RB67 types of users, Olga users. I do not know if this will happen to you if you use that, Kodak on the right side, and if you use Lomographys, obviously. Okay, so that's it on my video on super small, minor topic about fat rolls, shooting with medium format film cameras. Obviously, like I said, I only use like 2 or 3 like medium format cameras, and it's out of my realm because I don't have experience shooting with every single like medium format cameras. I do not know the compatibility like issues if it happens in different types of cameras. So I would love to hear from you guys if you ever had a fat roll issues with shooting with Lomographys film stock. And because this is something I realized and was able to like gain that knowledge and information from the representatives of the Japanese Lomography division, I thought it would make sense to pass that knowledge for you guys. And if you're ever like shooting with Lomography films, and in my case, because I learned that hard way, obviously when I'm shooting with Lomography's film stocks, I'm gonna swap out the right side with a Lomography's like reel instead of the Kodaks, so to decrease that chance of getting a fat roll. So yeah, so far I'm having no issues right as of now. And even if you don't have a Lomographys spool, extra spool, or a Kodak spool, if you go to a local like film shop that does processing medium format films, they typically should have some kind of like similar to the backing paper, they throw it out the window, but they have it's sort of like piled up somewhere. So if you ask them nicely, they will probably give you a free spare like reel for medium format, and yeah, just use that, and it's free in most of the cases. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative. If you have any questions or inquiries or any kind of like comments regarding this topic, I would love to hear from you guys and your experience shooting with Lomography. If you have like a fat roll issue, I would love to hear it from you guys, how you kind of counter that, because depending on the medium format camera, the loading method's a little bit different. Mamiya 645, rangefinder Pentax 6.7, and also Mamiya RZs and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace out.